Hey friends and fam, it's Cray Babe. Um, I think I found my new favorite recording spot. I definitely have to remember to bring my tripod with me. But let me take my earbud out. I always forget. I was just watching a video, actually Dr. Umar on Don't Call Me White Girl, which I'm interested to finish watching. Um, I have a topic for this video. What that topic is will come to me once I start talking. But this week has been pretty good. Just a lot of big lessons. Um, I feel like my last episode I was talking about like self-reliance versus like self-deprivation kind of things. And I feel like I might just want to expand on that, because I had a lot of self-deprivating habits. I even just said to myself today, like, you have to stop doing that. Like, it serves nobody. Let Definitely not myself when I'm self-deprecating, and especially more so when it comes to promoting myself or allowing just free things from people, especially men, because you just never know their intentions. And so, yeah, just like allowing things to flow and not not taking things personally, like really just detaching and just going going with and still standing on your boundaries. I think that's where people get things so misconstrued a lot of times, is that we're not focused on our boundaries, like life is organic and I think it's supposed to just flow. But it also teaches you a lot, and through those lessons you should learn how to set boundaries for yourself and know what is a yes and know what is a no. Um, and stand on your no. I think especially as Black women, like we're going through a real like what's the word I'm looking for? We're Society is trying to like regurgitate us in a way. It's like we dominate in so many industries and they're trying to remove us like by any means possible, right? And so it's like, what do you do when you're like almost being like you're what do you do during your attempted like oh, I can't think, like the word was on the tip of my tongue, but just like when you're trying to be eradicated by society, like people are trying to erase you and your contributions. I think it's really unfortunate when we have to like for a long time I personally was like diluting myself and just really like going with what I was told, especially when it comes to like how you're supposed to live or certain religious beliefs. And I'm definitely somebody who takes my mental health seriously, but on the flip side of that, like I just always kind of felt like church wasn't for me. It's really interesting when you're like trying to find yourself and what religions you usually turn to. For everybody it's different, and what I notice a lot is that like for Black Americans deconstructing their religion, it usually turns them to Islam, which I believe is a very beautiful practice. Everybody has their opinions on things, but ultimately, I feel like there's so much to learn from every religion, and it's those limiting or close-minded beliefs that keep us like stuck at where we are at. Self deprivation is usually, oh, my girl Dominique Morgan used a big word the other day. I'm gonna try to put it on here. But it just means that like we have these preconceived notions and preconceived beliefs about ourselves and how the world around us works because of things that have happened throughout our lives, whether that be an actual like experience or whether it be like things that we were programmed into, right? Because it's like like I say all the time about black men, there's only so many times you can tell a man you ain't shit and you like your daddy before he ultimately becomes like that. And it's it's not something that he is aware of or that he may know, but it's how he faces the world because of his belief systems. Um, and so I think that's a big part of it as well. Like, what are your beliefs? Like, a lot of people don't take a lot of time to really curate their morals, principles, and beliefs. And I think from a young age, I've always known what mine were. Like, there was a lot of things that I just know I couldn't stand for. And especially when it comes to like um, advocating for other people, I've really been relating to Deontay Kyle. Shout out to him. But he made this comment about how he was a crash out as a kid. Like, personally, I've never been in a fight. But when I was younger, like, I was that kid that people kind of knew not to fuck with because it's like, oh, she gonna spaz. Like, she gonna. And it wasn't that I'm like always turning up, but like, I'm one of those people that I type blackout when I get there, and it's kind of like a defense mechanism because I'm not naturally violent. You know, I do believe that violence should be reciprocated, but I don't think that that's how I go out into the world. And so now when not when I'm faced with these measures, it's fight or flight. And I know that I'm gonna fight. I know that I'm gonna survive at the end of the day by any means necessary. And I think that's really important when it comes to how we face this world in an oppressive state. Like, racism is oppression, and especially for white people, it's like if you can't acknowledge how your existence influences and continues oppression, then you're part of the problem, right? And so, as a black person, like facing these systemic systems every day, is kind of a thing of like you almost have to choose not to participate sometimes because if you're not doing things that are self-serving, then ultimately you're playing into the system. You're giving away your rights and your energy and your will to choose. I think that's one of the most powerful things that we have is our will and our right to choose. A lot of people think that that's like not their like that they're because they don't trust their decision making, that they don't think that they're allowed to make choices, but you make a choice every single day, and especially when you choose that, you're making a choice. And to take that a step further, I might have mentioned it in my last video. When when you say you can't do something, you can't do it, and when you say you can do it, you can. Everything that you choose to or not to do is a choice. And like they say, 100% of shots that you don't take, you miss. And so it's like, are we trying to make shots, or are we just not even practicing because we're scared that we're gonna miss? I think that's I think that's the hardest part about staying consistent. Um, is not knowing if you're gonna make that shot. Like, you still gotta take it, but it's not guaranteed to go in. And even recently, like, I've been saying that to myself. It's just like I have to remember I'm missing every shot I don't take. And being in this big city, working in a very popular area, I have to choose to make myself known, right? Because once you're in a specific area for a while, creating patterns and creating what's the word? Patterns and routines and just like getting to know, becoming familiar. I have a very, very familiar face myself, and so that's something that scares me a lot is that like once I'm like out there and introduced to people that they will remember me. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but it does scare me a little, especially when you know what the culture around influencers and celebrities is. It's so like toxic and judgmental and hateful. And it's like, how do you willingly put yourself in those predicaments? But I think something that helped me get through that was just realizing that, like, my world is a reflection of me, and the more that I put out love, the more love that I'm receiving. And just being genuine and authentic to myself makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier for me to find like-minded people and feel comfortable in spaces. um Something that, like, as I think about it more, I used to really embody when I was younger. It's called weird girl money. That's like the buzzword around it, is weird girl money. And when I really think about it, like, I used to be weird girl money. Like, when I was 13, I have to put it, I have to plug it in here, but the outfit that I wore for my 13th birthday was so weird girl money. Like, if if you had a if you had appear in your class, like, it's rare. It's probably like, usually one kind of weird girl in the class who, like, is bold as fuck, does what she wants, and it's kind of just, we went to a charter school as well. I went to a charter school growing up. So I was uniformed every day, but it was my birthday. I had, what's the Friday dress down pass? If you know, you know. I had my little Friday dress down pass, and I was like, oh, I'm going big because I never get to dress down. So I'm putting everything on. I'm putting every color on. I'm putting that shit on. And I had every color on, literally. Every color, every pattern. And I had just combed out my locks, got a little soap press, a little. So I just said it to say, like, do what you want to do what your heart desires. And I know it's really hard when you're not raised in an environment that really allows you to be your most authentic self, but you almost owe it to yourself and your younger self to go for more and to continue to put yourself in positions to embody greatness and, you know all that it looks like. um as I continue on my spirituality journey, I learned the difference between goodness and greatness. It doesn't always have to be great. Greatness can sometimes be a facade, but if it's good, if you always put your best in it, if you know that you you are giving with genuine love and, like, generosity, it's always going to be multiplied. And even just remembering that, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to be self-serving. It's unfortunate sometimes, but, like, it really will change how you are able to show up in your world, in your community, because you won't be waiting for somebody else to be able to help you. You will know how to help yourself. And I think that's part of the facade that people are living in, like, waiting for a savior. Like, I had this one client who would say that she isn't showing her daughter Disney movies, especially, like, under the age of 5. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so smart. I never, like, considered that. And it's like, when we're that young, I probably watched Snow White a million times. Uh, I was a VH tape baby. Like, I'm a 2000 kid, but don't get it twisted. I was still a VHS kid. So I had that shit on VHS every day after school. Where's the Snow White? And I don't know if that shapes my perception of dating now, but, like, she damn near had 7 niggas waiting on her. In a sense, like, her Prince Charming showed up differently, but it was like somebody came to save her. Somebody was looking for her. And I think that gives us a false idolization of romance. It's like, oh, he's going to save me, he's going to be there for me. But I don't think men, especially in those formative years, are programmed the same way. Like, most of them just be playing with action figures until they 10. No real development, no real interest, no real, like, creative nurturing. It depends. Once again, it depends entirely on how they were raised. I personally have a few friends who are very artistic, very holistic, and very earthy kind of people, but that's because that was that was their programming, that was their introduction to this world. And I just think that's something we have to be mindful of, is that just because that is your introduction to this world doesn't mean that has to be your reality, and you have to choose to want better for yourself. I mean, okay, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm going to wrap this up. Um, I give a big shout out to my mentors, because I've honestly wanted to be in this position for a long time, in the sense that I'm being coached by specific, thankfully, specifically women, right? But people in my industry who are great at what they do and are not intimidated by giving me the tools and the know withal to like be able to do that for myself. I feel like, especially like in a tattoo male dominated industry, and hair being such a woman dominated industry, it's really hard for me to like feel included sometimes. But that's all my perception. And so I feel like the faster I've changed that perception, the faster my world has changed. And so just be open to change, and just be open to choosing to change. And you have to you have to expose yourself. You have to get out there. My tattoo mentor always said, like, you came in here and asked for this, like, not to be like you need to prove that you want it, but like earn it. Be here, do it. Be here, earn it, do it. Peace and love and light.